Meghan Markle reaches a new podcast deal, surprising, well, everyone. We're going to talk about that today.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Studio Jake. I, of course, am your host, Jacob Airy. Thank you for joining me today on my vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. And today, one of my favorite subjects is on the plate, so be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All right. Diving right into it. So, Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Essex, has announced that she has gotten a new podcast deal. How she hustled this company after the mistake she and her husband Prince Harry made with Netflix and Spotify, I have no idea, but she did. Good for her, I guess. But I am just flabbergasted and stunned that anyone would take this woman and her husband on under any sort of media contract. I mean, just to recap, she launched a podcast called Archetypes that wasn't actually about archetypes. It was supposed to be this feminist podcast and talking about archetypes of women, but then it just talked about adjectives. And then there are rumors that she wasn't actually the one doing the interviews. It was actually her producer interviewing the guest, and then they would add in her voice and editing. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's a rumor. With Netflix, it was kind of the same situation. They were supposed to do all these movies and documentaries, and they ended up doing one documentary where everyone just got exposed to what a big whiny pair the two of them are. But apparently, she managed to talk her way into a new deal with a company called Limonada Media. So, this is according to a thread from Deadline Hollywood, a thread on X, formerly known as Twitter. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, strikes podcast deal with Limonada Media, will launch new show and distribute archetypes to all platforms. Exclusive. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is staying in the podcast business. The Duchess, otherwise known as Meghan Markle, has signed a new podcast deal with Limonada Media, the company behind Wiser Than Me with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, someone who actually has talent. The move will see her launch a new podcast series, and Limonada will also distribute her previous Spotify series to all podcast platforms. Yeah, because that's exactly what we need, more of her. It comes after her and her husband Prince Harry parted ways with Spotify last year. You mean got kicked out because she wouldn't actually do the work? There are no details of the new show yet, but Meghan will host the as of yet untitled series. I don't know why she doesn't call it the Meghan Markle show. That's what she wants to call everything else. Why not, her podcast? But anyway, continuing. I'm proud to now be able to share that I'm joining the brilliant team at Limonada to continue my love of podcasting, said Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Being able to support a female-founded company with a roster of thought-provoking and highly entertaining podcasts is a fantastic way to kick off 2024. Our plan to re-release Archetypes so that more people can now have access to it, as well as launching a dynamic new podcast, are well in the works. I'm so eager to be able to share it soon, and am overjoyed to be joining the Limonada family. I always kind of think it's funny that, when these rich, wealthy elites and social climbers like Meghan Markle, when they want to jump on any bandwagon, and I hate to break it to them, but sort of that Me Too era of Hollywood has over. It died with women talking, which I have not seen the movie, but from reviews I have read and have watched, it's a terrible film. But anyway, it kind of just puttered out because no one could sustain exactly what they were pushing. But Meghan Markle, she's a grifter, she's a social climber. And that's what they do in these kinds of scenarios. They have to grift, they have to social climb to get the status. And I think it's so hilarious because, it seems that Prince Harry wanted to visit his father after the King of England was announced to have cancer. Now, apparently it's not, or at least there are reports that it's not that bad of cancer right now, that it's actually in the process of healing, that hopefully it'll be in remission soon. As much as I despise monarchies, I still don't wish any ill will necessarily on King Charles. But apparently Harry wanted to make this like this big, huge media moment, and Charles basically said, "No, if you want to see me, come and see me." Apparently, it was just kind of a pat on the head sort of situation. They spoke. Some say an hour, some say 30 minutes. So it's like they've burned that bridge completely. The family doesn't even want them around. And it's also kind of funny because they set up this website to promote themselves. And I remember Megyn Kelly on her radio show and podcast was just making fun of it. Well deserved, because it's literally just these glamour shots of them. And on their about page, it lists all of their accomplishments, which is just basically Prince Harry has the one, which is that he was in, he served his country in the military. Good for him. I won't take that away from him. But it's kind of funny because then after that, it's just all of these elite, wealthy, grifting sort of situations. I think that that is really funny that that is what they have to resort to because they know that no one wants them. They have completely overstayed their welcome in the public sphere. Everyone is tired of them. Before, the American public was kind of enamored with them and found them sort of interesting. The royal rogues, that was a big thing that people were calling them. But then as they tried to continue this grift of, oh, everybody hates us, we just want privacy, and then they went on their privacy tour where they were appearing with Oprah, and then they were doing documentaries, and then they were doing all these interviews, and then they were saying, oh, we never asked for privacy. They implied that the royal family was bigots, and then they had to do damage control because it wasn't true. And I think it's kind of funny now. What's hilarious to me is they just can't win for losing. So Prince Harry, he filed suit against a British newspaper claiming that they had defamed him. Now, in England, it's different than in America, because in America, it's always the accused doesn't have to prove anything. The accuser has to prove. It's not that way in England. In England, the whenever you're accused of defamation or libel, you have to prove you're innocent, which I think is incredibly Stone Age. Another reason why I don't like European countries, the way they do guilt and innocent, and your human rights are violated constantly in those European countries, including England, by the way. And he couldn't even win with that, despite, in my opinion, the British press is terrible. I mean, they are constantly blabbing about things they know nothing about. They're constantly smashing America over stuff they don't know anything about. And so in a way, I was kind of sympathetic toward Harry, because in my humble opinion, I do believe that the press played a part in the death of his mother. They wouldn't leave her alone. And okay, whatever the driver, maybe he was a little intoxicated, their constant hounding of that vehicle caused that accident. That was the media, in my opinion, had a part to play. I'm not going to say individuals involved because I don't know all their names, but I do think that the international press had a part to play in that. So I do kind of have that uh, weird thing where, yes, I don't really care for Harry and Meghan. I think that they're celebrities who are just famous for being famous. But then on the other hand, I really despise the media, the mainstream media, the corporate press is what I call it. So in that regard, I do kind of appreciate what they're saying. I do get it. So on that point, I'm on their side. However, I do think the way that they have handled it has just been abysmal. They just trot around the globe doing these lavish vacations. Oh, we're just like you. Look at us. We're just like you. Oh. And then, Megan goes and she mocks how she's supposed to curtsy to the queen. And it's just one embarrassing misstep after the other. You cannot believe how they're presenting themselves. And then remember that famous lie that they told about how that they were being chased by the press for 2 hours through the streets of New York. And it's like their taxi said it was like a 20 minute to maybe even a 15-minute drive. It wasn't even really that long. No, I don't feel any empathy for them. They made their beds. They're wealthy elitist globalists who have made careers of calling other people names and have just been famous for being famous. They just social climb, they grift onto other people like they did with Tyler Perry, like they did with the guest of the Archetypes, which, by the way, I do think this is funny. Taylor Swift, in my opinion, gets way too much hate. People are weird about it. But I do think it's kind of funny because Taylor Swift actually rejected being a guest on Archetypes. Meghan Markle, I guess, wrote her a handwritten note asking her to be a guest, and Taylor Swift absolutely said no. So I think that's kind of funny. That's another point in favor of Taylor Swift. No, she should not be dating her future hit song, Travis Kelce, who's the face of Big Pharma right now, but whatever. My point is, I don't feel sorry for them. I do feel sorry for this media company that they have rooked into their little game, and it's just going to go nowhere. I think it's just going to fall apart, same as the Spotify one. No one's going to tune in, no one's going to listen because they have used up all their social currency, and it's just all going to crumble down for them. So bye, Harry. Bye, Meghan. I hope you move back to Canada, because I guess Harry is friends with Justine Trudeau. So I hope that he has fun up there. Go have fun up there. But, if they decide to move back to England, which I hope they do, there will be no take backsies, UK.
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die